Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back for those of you who joined us before, and to those of you who are just tuning in, welcome. We are here talking about storm chasing in New York City. No, yes, we are. Storm chasing New York City. I know. When I first saw that Jennifer was going to be talking about this, I'm like, wait, have I just the same New York City that I live in? So, Jennifer, I'm sure you're going to enlighten all of us. These storms that, as we were talking about before we went live, that I never seem to get my camera out in time for. So get your notepads, get your writing utensils. I told Jennifer, I said, I'm taking notes. So take notes along with me. We welcome a photographer, Cityscape, storm chaser, Jennifer Khordi on. Welcome back. This is your first time in the virtual event space, so welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, and it's an honor. Thank you again for the invitation. I really appreciate it, and I'm super excited to show you guys my storm images today.
Awesome. Well, we always love having you in, or in this case, on. So, Jennifer, let's go chase some storms in the Big Apple.
Okay, great. So again, my name is Jennifer Khordi. I'm a landscape and cityscape photographer. I live in New Jersey, and I've kind of fell in love with storm chasing about 6 years ago. I actually, I shot my first storm over New York City in 2014, and I became completely hooked. So I love the summertime because, you know, in the summertime we get all the storms over New York. And I've become almost completely obsessed with it. I mean, I'll be up half the night watching the radar. So this year has been a little frustrating because, you know, we've had a couple of really severe storms that have happened kind of earlier in the day. But luckily I have a lot of storm images over the last couple of years that I can show you guys. So we'll get started. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, so just a little background about myself. I'm mostly known for my my storm images, and also I love to shoot the moon over New York City. That's one of my favorites. I also do landscapes in Milky Way. I'm a Nikon shooter. I usually shoot storms with my Nikon D850 with my Nikon 20 to 400 to 120 lens. I also use my Nikon D500 with my 70 to 200 lens. Okay, so this is my gear that I usually shoot storms with. One of the most important things that I have when I'm going to shoot storms are a wired remote. The reason why I love having a wired remote is that I put my camera on continuous mode and I lock my remote so that I can shoot the storms continuously. I also have a stable PhotoPro tripod so that my camera doesn't move during the storm. And also I make sure that I'm carrying my ND filters if I'm shooting storms during the day. Okay, so there's basically two types of storm chasing that I do. I do either I'm chasing them during the day or I'm chasing them at night. Of course, I absolutely love to shoot at night. It's a lot easier to shoot, but sometimes, as you know, there's times when you have no choice but shooting during the day. So if I'm shooting during the day, what I do is I get there and hopefully I have enough time to set up, but I get a good firm manual focus on the city. That's the first thing I do. I get my composition, get a good manual focus on the city. And then what I do is I have to stop down because I want to be able to shoot. I want to be able to shoot long enough so that I can take continuous shots. So what I do is I get on F16 or F22 for 1 to 3 seconds on continuous mode. Now you're probably wondering, how do I shoot 3 seconds if I'm shooting during the day? Well, I try to remember to bring my ND filters so that when I have my ND filters on there and I'm stopping down to F22, I'm able to shoot for longer and I'm able to capture a strike. The biggest thing I do though, if I'm shooting storms during the day and I'm trying to capture lightning during the day, is I make sure that my shot is dark. So I darken the shot so it almost looks like it's night so that I can capture the light, because it's very hard to capture light during the day. So again, I use my wired remote that's locked and the camera is set on continuous mode. Now, you can also buy a lightning trigger. I don't have one. I vowed that by the time storm season starts next year, I'm going to have a lightning trigger. I love the brand Lightning Trigger. All of my friends who shoot storms, they all say great things about them. So you can go on lightningtrigger.com and buy a lightning trigger. I think it's highly recommended to use a lightning trigger during the day because it's kind of hard to shoot lightning when it's light out, and you don't want to fill up your memory card so quickly. I know sometimes I fill up my memory card, I don't have a lightning trigger, and then I'm standing there trying to delete pictures and lightning's going off. So you don't want to be in that situation. Okay, so again, I usually bring filters with me in order to slow down and darken so that it almost looks like night and not day. Okay, so if you're lucky enough to be able to shoot a storm over New York City, again, hopefully you can get there in enough time to properly set up. You want to get a good firm manual focus on the city using your back LCD display on your camera, and then leave the lens in manual focus. When you do it with your back LCD display, your mirror is locked up and your camera operates very quickly with the least amount of shake. So what I do is I shoot in manual mode, in manual continuous mode on F11 or F14 for 3 to 5 seconds, okay? So if I stop down, I'm able to control the light so that it's not blown out. And I remember one storm that I chased in South Jersey. I was actually hosting a Milky Way workshop and I forgot to change my settings, and I was shooting lightning at like ISO 1600 at f2.8. I do not recommend shooting lightning at f2.8. Really, really bad. And also I forgot to put on here that you need to shoot at a low ISO as well. So if you shoot at a low ISO, you're able to control, if you shoot at ISO 100 and you stop down, you're able to control the light, and so that your strikes are not blown out. You don't want a blown out strike because it looks like this big ball of light in the sky and it's completely blown out like you've blown out the sun. And also you want to shoot wide enough so that you can fit the strike. You don't want to zoom in, say, to the World Trade Center completely, and then you only have this tiny little bit of lightning at the top. Okay, great. So how do I plan my storm chase? I don't use fancy software to do this. I absolutely love the Weather Channel app. It is fantastic. And I pay for the pro version. I think it was $10. And then what I do is I select on the radar screen, I select lightning plus radar. Okay. If I select lightning plus radar, it actually shows me the real-time lightning strikes as it's coming toward me. Okay, so here's a view of the Weather Channel app. And if you see here, I'm actually home and I'm trying to plan the storm, right? So here, this is where I live over here. And I'm watching this huge storm front come in from the west. And to me, the best storms, if you're shooting New York City, to me, the best ones come up from the DC, Maryland area and the Pennsylvania area, and they move east. They usually move northeast this way. There was recently a huge storm that came in from the north that I missed because it was coming in this way. And I thought it was going to break up on the radar, but actually it didn't. It formed and it exploded over New York. I actually got in my car and I raced up to New York City, and I was actually too late. I caught a couple of them, but I missed the biggest strikes. The biggest thing with storm chasing is to actually plan it correctly so that you are actually watching the radar and watching the strikes come toward New York. And that's kind of a hard thing to do, because what I do is I usually use the future radar, and I actually go ahead in time and try to see where these storm fronts go. So a lot of times, again, the storms come in from the west and head east. And if I turn on my lightning radar, I want to be able to be in the cone of the lightning strikes. Now, if you see here, I've actually successfully come from my home down here, driven all the way up the turnpike, parked my car, ran here, and got here in time for these strikes to occur. But you don't want to, the best thing to do is be ahead of the storm. So you track on radar, watch the lightning strikes, watch it form, watch the red area, and be ahead of the storm. You want to be ahead of the storm so that you can get where you're going, get your composition, get all set up, and let your camera run, and hopefully you'll capture something. This is an ideal situation. The last storm that I chased, I saw forming to the south, and I got in my car as actually the storm was hitting my house, and I was able to beat the, I was able to beat the storm by about 10 minutes. So what I did was I actually drove up the turnpike with the storm to my west, and I was driving fast enough so that the lightning was actually hitting to the south of me. So I do a lot of my images from Jersey City. I was able to park my car, grab my gear, run to the shooting spot, set up, and just in time, I think I had about 3 minutes, and then the lightning started. I kind of recommend not doing that. I'm very lucky I haven't gotten a ticket, but I recommend trying to plot your chase so that you have a little bit more time than 10 minutes. It's kind of bad to leave your house while it's already hitting here and try to outrun it so that you're here. And that's exactly what I did. I outran it, got to New York. This is where I was. I actually got to Jersey City in enough time so that when these strikes came, I actually was able to shoot the storm. So this is actually a real case of me beating the storm and getting here on time, and all of these strikes were following me. So it's kind of exciting. It's a big adrenaline rush. It's kind of bad when you get stuck at a long light and you're watching the lightning strike already. I've missed whole storms. It's getting there too late. Okay, so I'm going to show you a bunch of my lightning images. I hope you enjoy them. Okay, this is the very first lightning strike I ever got. This was in 2014. I had never shot lightning in my life, and I had set up in the city, and I thought the storm was over. I thought I missed it, and I was out in the open. I was about to put my camera away when the strike started happening again. And this strike flew over my head, hit the World Trade Center, and it cast this huge reflection in the water, and it was pretty crazy. I was very lucky I didn't get struck. But yes, I was out in the open here. I was not under shelter when I took the shot, and this was 6 years ago. This shot was actually in the middle of the day. This is in the afternoon. I was working in Manhattan at the time. I saw that the storm came in, and I told my boss that I wasn't feeling well and had to go home. I'm not working for them anymore, so I don't care. I'm telling everybody this, but I left my job early, got to my car in Jersey City, got my gear out, and ran to the waterfront, got under shelter, and I was able to get to the storm in time. But you're probably wondering, how in the world did I get this color during the day? Well, what I did was I stopped down to f/22 and I put a heavy ND filter on. I was able to slow down my exposure to 1 second. So by shooting at f/22 and with an ND filter on, I was able to slow it down, and my images looked like they were night. So every test shot that I took actually looked like nighttime. When the strikes came, I was actually able to capture the light. So I was very, very happy with this. And going forward, any daytime storm images that I take, I try to stop down like that. I normally do not shoot at f/22. You're not supposed to. There's a lot of diffraction, but when you're shooting storms during the day, you want to be very, you definitely want to stop down so that you can control the light source, and you can capture lightning in a dark image during the day. This is another storm that I chased. I was working in New York. I left at 5, got to Jersey City, got my gear, ran to the waterfront, and I chased the storm came. I didn't get any lightning because it was raining so hard, but I captured a whole bunch of images, and I got home and I couldn't believe that I captured a lightning strike coming out of the rainbow over New York. So I actually almost deleted all my images because I thought I didn't capture anything. So that was really cool. This is one of my first lightning images. I took this in 2014. This particular type of lightning was horizontal lightning, and it was flying over my head. And I was actually out in the open when I took this. I ran to an open area where I could see the Empire State Building better, and it was kind of wild how the lightning was horizontal like that. Okay, this is another storm that I chased. This one was, again, I thought this was over. I ran outside to capture the clouds. And all of a sudden, the storm cloud came in out of nowhere and started spewing lightning. And I was lucky enough to get a strike around the World Trade Center. Okay. This one was another day image that I took. This was taken at f/22 using ND filters. This was probably the wildest storm chase I've ever had. This happened in, I think, 3 years ago. We had every type of weather event you can imagine in one evening. We had crazy lightning, we had a double rainbow, mantis clouds, and we had a fog roll in from the city that almost flew right over us. It was the wildest storm chase I've ever had. Another storm that I did. This is another one where I thought the storm was going to hit the city and it changed direction, and I was able to capture some huge strikes over the Verrazano area here, and this is the Statue of Liberty over here. This is another one where it was raining so heavily I wasn't able to get a clear image of the city. I just loved how the strike came in and struck the side of the World Trade Center, and then I got all that fog there. This is another huge strike I got that seemed to be striking the Verrazano Bridge. A huge storm that hit Midtown. I have never gotten a strike directly on the Empire State Building in all the times that I've tried. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get something before the end of the storm season or maybe next year. This is actually an iPhone shot. I did not have my gear with me when I took this, and I was able to capture a strike with my iPhone. This is again that crazy storm that I chased during the day. I was able to capture a bunch of reflections of the strike on the buildings of downtown. That's another storm I chased last year. From the same storm during the day. So this storm was the storm that I actually chased at 1 in the morning. Again, I kept the storm to the south of me. So I was traveling about 85 miles an hour up the turnpike, and the storm was not traveling that fast. I've had instances where I've tried to outbeat storms and the storms were traveling faster than me and I've missed them. But in this case, it was actually probably 11:30 when I saw all of the strikes coming in from the Philadelphia area, and I figured out that was going to hit the city. So I threw my gear in the car and drove as fast as I possibly could up the turnpike and got there in time to get this strike. And it wasn't too long ago. This is again the same strike that I showed you earlier, but I processed it in more of like a metallic, and I have this hanging in my house. I kind of like how it came out. There's another storm. This was during the day. I was able to use ND filters to slow down the exposure. This is a storm that I chased a couple of years ago. I think I must have used up about 3 memory cards and gotten 1 image. Again, I won't be going into next storm season without a lightning trigger for sure. I think they're absolutely crucial to have during the day. This is another massive strike that I got that hit near the Verrazano Bridge. I love storm clouds, and I'll be showing you a couple of them in this presentation. This was a massive bolt that hit 432 Park Avenue. And the cool thing is that there is a mark on that building above the penthouse from this very strike. This was awesome. Strike, you know, happening above the World Trade Center, didn't hit it, but I like the strike nonetheless. Crazy, crazy, crazy story about this one. I was leading a full moon workshop, and of course we got clouded out, and crazy me, I thought, how cool would it be to capture a full moon and a lightning strike in the same image? And it's actually possible to do that. I know it sounds crazy, but I've seen strikes happen where the sky was not completely obscured by clouds. So I had this crazy idea in my mind that that would happen. But we got hit with torrential downpours, but we were able to, my group was actually able to get a bunch of strikes on the World Trade Center. This was from Eagle Rock in Western New Jersey. So this is the first strike that I got from 12 miles out. But I kind of love how long the strike is. You see that I was up pretty high when I took this. This storm happened 2 years ago, and if you can believe this, I had 16 different strikes on the World Trade Center in the matter of 10 minutes. I caught every single one of them because I had my camera on high-speed continuous mode. And every single strike that struck the World Trade Center had multiple strikes within one strike. It was the craziest thing I think I've ever seen. This one, I flew that night, and I'm going to show you some pictures in a minute, but I was flying a couple of clients in a helicopter. Actually, I wasn't the one piloting the helicopter. I was leading a tour. The storm came in out of nowhere, and we had to end the tour early, and I actually saw lightning from the helicopter. We landed, I settled everything with them, got in the car and drove like 90 miles an hour up the turnpike, got to the city and got these strikes in the same night. This one is again from the same crazy storm. This one was one of 16 strikes that I got in a matter of 10 minutes. And again, each strike had multiple strikes in them together. So sometimes I feel bad when I'm missing one, and then I look back and I have so many images that I haven't even published yet from the same storm. This one was a storm that I thought was hitting the downtown New York City, but it wound up hitting Midtown. This was taken with a long lens. I think this is a 200 millimeter, I'm not sure. This is again from the same storm. If you can believe, this was only 3 seconds, and in 3 seconds, this much lightning was going off. I've never gotten a strike on the Statue of Liberty. This is one thing that I wanted to try this year. The problem is that all the areas with views of the Statue of Liberty don't have shelter. So I'm trying to figure that out this year. I was going to try to go and shoot from my car. We'll see how that goes. But this is the only strike that I've gotten around the Statue of Liberty. This is one of the first strikes I've ever gotten. This was taken almost 6 years ago. That's a repeat. Okay, here is me. I thought that the storm was over, and I left my shelter to take a look, and this bolt flew right over my head and hit the World Trade Center. So it actually, the bolt started behind me, if you can believe that, and traveled all the way across the Hudson River in Jersey City and struck the World Trade Center. It was pretty crazy. This is an example of a daytime strike. If you could see that this is during the day. So I had a heavy ND filter on, and it was at f/22. This is a crazy storm that I chased. I thought the storm was over, and this is the first time I've gotten the moon and the storm, the lightning strike in one shot. From the same storm that I got 16 different strikes. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of images that I took storm chasing from a helicopter. I don't recommend you guys storm chasing from a helicopter. It is very dangerous. I don't recommend it. Like, don't do it at home. I was taking a couple of clients up. I think they were from New Zealand, and I felt really bad because the woman was petrified. I, of course, was in my glory. I could not believe that a storm came in out of nowhere. And again, it's very dangerous to be in a helicopter while lightning was going off. So the pilot was trying to keep his cool, and he was trying to fly around the storm so that we can get back safely. I think the biggest thing besides the lightning is being worried about the wind as well up there. Okay, so here's a view of the storm cloud that came in. Here's a view of the storm cloud that came in, and you could see it from the front of the helicopter. It was pretty wild. And you could actually start to see all of the lightning going off in this cloud. Here's another view of that storm cloud. We were traveling Brooklyn, and at that point, we had decided to cut the tour short and get back to the airport. Oh, this shouldn't be there. This was a duplicate. I can go back to this later. This was another view of that storm from the front of the helicopter. This was the view of the storm cloud as the sun was going down. And here's another view. We're flying over the FDR Drive, and you could see that the it is definitely starting to get crazy. And here is me. I'm just taking. I'm in the front of the helicopter, taking an iPhone shot of that cloud. It was coming in rapidly. Okay, so this looks crazy, right? This looks like a face swallowing the Statue of Liberty. This was that storm that I think, I'm not sure if this is the same storm, but I know that this is a storm that came in out of nowhere, and the pilot was trying to fly around it. And when I got home and processed the shot, I actually could not believe that I was looking at something like this. Of course, I love storms. I love storm clouds, and I was just completely floored that I got this. I've gotten the craziest looking clouds over New York City. Absolutely crazy. Okay. So I'm going to show you some rainbows that I've gotten over New York City. They're almost always after lightning storms. I've had several storms that I've tried to chase where I've missed all the lightning, but I've gotten the rainbow. This one I really love because it's actually turning the Empire State Building all different colors. Here's another one that I got over the Empire State Building. We've had several storms over the years that you stand out there and you just look and wonder, like you can't even believe what you're looking at. So this particular storm, there was momentous clouds that actually followed the storm, and we got a rainbow through them. This is another one, if you can believe that this is actually the color of the sky when this was happening. So again, you might look at this and go, my gosh, she must have changed the color in Photoshop, but no, I didn't. I didn't saturate or anything like that. It was actually pink and in purple. This is a recent storm that I got. I actually run a meetup group in New Jersey, and there was a lightning storm that came in, and I missed it. But I was able to get this. This image through the Empty Sky Memorial in Liberty State Park. This is probably one of the craziest days of my life. This was a storm that I saw probably multiple weather events in the same night. So you could see the clouds just go completely bonkers. It was unbelievable. And then you had this rainbow kind of going through it. So it was just completely crazy to see this. This is another one that I got, a rainbow over New York City. This was taken, I think, about 2 years ago. This is actually a pano of 8 different shots. And again, I have ND filters, of course, right? So I really thought this was a crazy one because of all the mantis clouds again. This one was taken, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. I think this was taken in 2016. 2016 was a phenomenal year for storm chasing. I chased multiple different storms over the span of the 2 months in the summer. This one was completely pink and purple, and everything was glowing pink and purple. When you see this, you try to wonder. It's just out of this world. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. And then when the sun was setting, this brilliant light just kind of emanated from this one building here. This is another storm that it looked like the mantis clouds were forming, and I was able to get, the edge of a double rainbow. It was raining so hard, the weather was so crazy that I had my camera really low to the ground in the shelter I was at, and all of my images were heavily distorted. I was trying to fix the horizon today before this presentation, but I said, I think it looks okay. You guys aren't, here to criticize a crazy horizon, but I thought the story was interesting behind the shot. Okay, this is another one, a separate storm where the lightning storm, after the lightning storm came, these momentous clouds formed in the sky with a rainbow going through it. So again, it was just incredible. I mean, you try to think in your life. I mean, all of these little personal issues that you might be going through with work and, with friendships, relationships, family. And, you go out there and you chase the storm, and then this happens, and you just stand there going, like, you just wonder how much of that stuff really matters when you see something like this. It's pretty incredible. So I hope that you guys watching this can see this for yourselves one day if you haven't. It's really an amazing sight to watch a rainbow form over New York City. It's really incredible. This is another rainbow that I got straight through the World Trade Center. This was after another storm that I had shot. I was so excited from the whole experience of the chase that I forgot to set my camera correctly. I did not even have time to put on my ND filters because I was worried that this rainbow was going to go away, and I actually overexposed it, but luckily I was able to fix it in post. This is another rainbow that I got over the Empire State Building. It was pretty bright rainbow, and I was able to zoom in and get it. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys some crazy storm clouds that I've gotten over New York. I just love how the city glows yellow sometimes. The crazy thing is when you're shooting these storms, the city is very reflective on what's going on behind you. I've seen every single color of the rainbow be reflected on the city. So in this case, the city was glowing like gold. It was really incredible to watch. This is another one. I absolutely love clouds, and I couldn't believe all of the different layers of clouds that formed here. It was absolutely stunning. And my mom used to be an artist, and she used to love painting with a lot of bright color. And it's pretty incredible to be able to capture that kind of color in your camera. So it's very otherworldly when you look at some of these skies and you think about, all the colors in the rainbow that you're looking at. This is after one storm. I turned my camera around and got this composition. This was in Jersey City. Got some very crazy red clouds form over downtown New York City after a particular storm. Here was one storm that I chased. I didn't get any lightning, but the Empire State Building disappeared and only the top appeared here. If you guys are looking to chase storms and you don't get anything, wait till the nighttime and wait for the fog to roll in. The fog shots over New York City are absolutely stunning. I love shooting fog over New York. This particular one was really special for me because of the way the Empire State Building kind of appeared, at the spire appeared out of the fog. It was really awesome. Here's another one that I chased that I got there too late, but I was able to get the color of the storm and the fiery red sunset behind me. That's the beautiful thing about the city, is that you're not facing, when you're in Jersey City and you're facing the city, you're not facing west, but the buildings reflect the intense sunrise behind you. And it's like you're looking at the sunset, but it's behind you. So it's hard to explain, but I like it. Here's another aftermath of the storm. This is an 8-shot handheld pano at 14 millimeter. Here is a crazy chase that I did. This was the same day that I got the rainbow through the momentous clouds, and I got that intense lightning strength. This fog came in off the city, and I've never experienced anything like it. It rolled very quickly toward us, and you could feel the mist of the fog. It was really crazy intense. I'm not crazy how this shot is processed. This is one of the ones that I need to reprocess at some point. But I thought you guys would find it really cool to see this kind of picture. So you've got this pink momentous clouds, and then you have this fog rolling off the city. So that was pretty crazy. Okay, so when I've done a lot of these shots, I see things appearing in the clouds. This looked like a baby lying over the city. So if you see here, you can see what looks like a child almost lying down overneath New York. I thought it was really cool. I had one picture, it looked like a skull over the World Trade Center. I could not find the shot to reprocess it. I didn't like how I processed the shot, but maybe in a future live, I'll show it to you guys. This was another storm that I chased. I don't remember when this was, but I got this and I didn't get any lightning because it was raining so hard. So this was really, really intense. This was in Jersey City. This was the mantis clouds that formed over New York City. And oops. I was really happy to get I was at 14 millimeter and I was able to get the full view of the clouds over New York. Okay, this was another shot that I got. Again, this was a different storm. I was able to get the cloud layer over New York with this reflection here. This one I was going to reprocess, but I said, oh, I'll just include it anyway. What the heck? But this is the same storm that I shot with that rainbow with the lightning strike through it. This was a little bit earlier, but I got this absolutely crazy cloud formation over this rainbow. I actually got a couple of different shots from the storm. It was nuts. Again, this is another storm that I chased that I didn't get any lightning strikes, but I did get some completely wild clouds above it. This was one that I shot. This one was the same one as another one that I showed you. This was momentous clouds over New York that lit up during sunset. It was really crazy. There's another storm that I chased. This was recently. I didn't get any strikes. It didn't show any strikes, but I got these extremely intense storm clouds over the Goldman Sachs building. Here's another view looking west. This was in Jersey City. This was a storm that I shot about 6 years ago. And I really liked how intense the sky looked with the purple and the pink. This was a storm last year that I chased. I didn't get anything. You can see the formation of a light rainbow here. But what was very interesting was the very intense deep pink of these clouds. And if you can see here, the colors of the sunset were pretty intense and reflecting off the buildings. This is a, I think, 4 or 5 shot pano at 14 millimeter. This is another storm that I chased. I only got 1 shot, but I really like the clouds. So I think the main thing with storm chasing is that you can really get a really cool cloud if you don't get any strikes. And I think this is the last one. This is another storm over New York. You can see the storm clouds. Okay. And that's about it. I ended a little early. I thought I would end early to get some questions in. So if you guys want to contact me or anything like that, if you want to know about, some of my storm chasing or any of my workshops, you can contact me at jenniferkhordi@yahoo.com. And you can follow me on Instagram, jkhordi, and you can see the rest of my storm shots. I have probably almost all of the storm shots that I really love are on my Instagram account.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jennifer. We'll get started with some questions. And again, as Jennifer mentioned, if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A or the comment section if you're joining from live stream or Facebook. Janelle, who is joining us on Zoom, asks if you recommend any filters that aren't as expensive as the ND filters.
Do you mean any filters that are not ND filters, or?
Yeah, are there any filters you use that aren't neutral density? Are there any brands that you prefer or go-tos?
I mean, I use NYC filters almost exclusively. What I recommend is trying to find a screw-on filters for storms, because unfortunately with all the rain, it can catch on the square filters pretty easily. So I recommend, like, if she doesn't have the money to buy NYC filters, there's other brands out there that you can find on Amazon, for example, or of course B&H. You can go onto the B&H website and they have plenty of screw-on filters, and I would find one for her filter thread.
Okay. Yep, she did just update. She said, sorry, I should say the NYC filters. So yes, check it out. Definitely, hey, reviews, the review section on everything. If you're not reading at least 10 reviews on any new product, you're doing yourself a disservice, because there is a lot of stuff out there that you are able to get more affordable options. There's certain things you don't want to concede on, but there are a lot of products out there where you can get something that's more affordable without really sacrificing that much quality.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that the lightning triggers are kind of expensive. And I think the one that I recommended is almost $300, and they actually make them for your camera. So if you can't afford a lightning trigger, I would get your hands on a decent screw-on ND filter so that you can slow it down during the day. I know for a fact that I've actually gotten to the waterfront without any ND filters because I've forgotten them and not be able to really capture any lightning because I can't darken the shot.
Yeah, and I will throw this out there. You'll hear it every once in a while. As far as filters go, they will say, don't negate good glass with bad glass, meaning don't put a shoddy filter on top of, if you're shooting Canon per se, and you have an L lens or any, whatever your camera brand is, and you have professional grade glass on there, you don't want to go out and get a $5 filter and negate the $2,500 that you spent on your lens, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's one of
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I know that I've been out there where people have the cheapy filters that I've gotten, they say on Amazon for like $10, and then, they take the shot and they go, oh my gosh, this is not even the color of the sky.
I guess it also depends how serious you are too. I mean, if you're somebody like me who doesn't take photos of lightning, and every once in a while I'm going to take a picture of something like this, I may not want to go out and buy a $200 filter for something I'm never going to use. But if it is something where you're shooting a lot of landscape photography or astrophotography, and this is going to be something that you're going to use all the time, you should treat it as, treat it accordingly to the rest of your gear.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Now, doubling down on that, Danya just asked, she said, exquisite job. She was wondering how often you have been using filters when shooting these photos. So is that something that, are you just using in daylight, or are you using filters no matter when you're shooting?
I only use I use ND filters during the day to slow my exposure down. And when you're shooting lightning, if you do not have a lightning trigger, you absolutely have to use something to slow the exposure down, because f/22 is not going to be enough. So some of those biggest strikes that I showed you, I've gotten using, say, a 6-step ND filter at f/22, and it slows it down to a second. So
Wow.
you cannot just slow down your picture to a second during the day, even at f/22. You could probably be at maybe 1/20th of a second, but you're not going to be able to slow it down to capture a strike unless you darken it with the filter.
How often are these daytime storms happening where you would have to worry about that? I mean, is it like is there a science to it? Are they more common at a certain time of day, or?
I know, I think it's probably mixed bag. I mean, I've seen plenty of them because I work full time as well. So I see plenty of them happening when I'm stuck on my computer and I can't do anything. So I would think it's probably 50-50. A lot of them come in during the day, but really the best strikes you're going to get are at night. But if you know how to darken it to slow your exposure down, it really doesn't matter. And you actually get a better composition during the day, I think, because you can see more of the buildings than at night. So it's really a mixed bag, I think.
Definitely. So Barry, who's joining us, says great presentation and pictures, and he's asking about the long range pictures from the park. What focal range were you using? Is that a 600 millimeter, he asked, or
From
you
Eagle
shooting with a
Rock?
100 to 400?
Yeah, I was at 2 to 500. I think it was a 500
Okay.
millimeter when I shot that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find most of your, when you're doing the lightning work, most of it is longer lenses?
No, it was, I mean, I do a lot at 24 millimeter. Now I have a 14 to 24 that I love. I have a Nikon
Hmm.
14 to 24, but it catches a lot of rain because it has a large front element. I do not recommend trying to go into a rainstorm using a lens like the Nikon 14 to 24 because you will catch a ton of rain. So I like my 24 to 120 a lot with the filter on. I think that's like my best combination to get a good shot. I
Hmm.
think, but I
Yeah.
mean, 14 millimeter, what I do is after I get the shots, then I throw my 14 on, and then I try to get rainbow or clouds or whatever. Most of those rainbow shots that you're looking at are at 14 millimeter. So I quickly just throw
Okay.
my lens on. Mhm.
Yeah, they were beautiful. When you put up the one where you can see the full rainbow, it's just super, super, super impressive.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it takes a while, right? I've been at this for 6 years. So this year I've
Hmm.
only captured a couple of them, but then when you add it up, then you have a decent portfolio. But I don't want anybody to get discouraged, like, oh, they've just started going out. It takes a while to kind of build up a portfolio, right? Because
Hmm.
it's not like the moon. I mean, the moon is out all the time, but these
Yeah.
storms that come and go, and you never know when they're going to hit. So you really have to have a lot of patience, I think.
Oh, definitely. You're running around. I learned that even like we were saying before we went live, and just running around trying to get, because it seems like it's such a small window of time you don't have trial and error. And if you're not using ND filters and you have to take, say, a 20-second exposure because you don't have a lightning trigger, you don't have filters, you have to take a 20-second exposure and hope that lightning strikes during that time.
Well,
You know,
like I would say, like during the day, it's a second or 2 second because you have to have a lot of ND on to get it to 20 seconds, right? Because it's during the day, and
yeah.
you're taking a dark shot. This is what I tell people. I've actually gone to a storm with other photographers, and I'm not afraid to just take over my camera and just do what I have to do rather than just reading all my metering and all that. I'm not afraid to just say, I'm going to darken the hell out of this image and I'm going to let the lightning bolt pop. And I'm not afraid to say, you know what, I want it to be almost black when it comes out of the camera because I know when that lightning comes, it's going to illuminate the whole thing. Like what you're looking at now, the image was almost completely black. And when the strike happened, it was definitely people. No one can believe that this was during the day. Everyone thinks that this is taken at night, and it wasn't.
Yeah, totally. No, I wouldn't have thought that at all. Now, do you composite photos at all? Where if you get something where, you know, whether it's multiple lightning strikes or you have the right strike, but something else is off with your exposure, are you big into compositing?
No, I will not composite lightning strike, a lightning shot, or a moonshot. I will not do it. I see people there, they throw a bunch of lightning strikes in one image. I don't do that. And if you're lucky enough to capture the storm that I did a couple years ago, there was many bolts of lightning going on off at the same time, and I was able to get multiple strikes. I'm actually really bad at Photoshop with that. I'm good at layering, like I'm gonna do a Milky Way, but I'm really, really bad at combining images like that. You can almost always tell that I've moved it, even if I
Well, you know
try.
what? I think there's something to be said for it. It's like, you know, with any
Yeah,
other kind of photography that you have to do on the fly, like street photography. If you miss the shot, if you miss the big lightning shot, it there's something. It's like you know, if it were too easy, it kind of takes some of the excitement out of it.
it does. And when you know when a friend of mine got this epic lightning shot in the last storm, and I missed it because I misjudged the radar. You want to know something, man? He earned it because you know why? Because he's probably been out for 20 times and not getting nothing. And you know, he goes out and he finally gets a shot, and there's a lot of reward to that. Rather than sitting there and compositing and making a fake image, I don't have a lot. I have to say, there's something kind of bad about just if you don't get it, create it in Photoshop. I mean, where's the talent in that?
Well, your crowd knows you. Barry just said compositing is a dirty word for Jennifer, so they know that you don't composite. Now,
That's really fun.
Olive asks if you have shot from the 69th Street Pier in Brooklyn at all.
No, no, I haven't. I haven't
Do
gotten
you?
any storms from Brooklyn. I've gotten the moon from there,
Mhm.
but I just live too far, you know? Like I get super jealous though. Like I have a friend of mine, he might be watching this, but he lives in a high rise in Brooklyn overviewing the city. And it's like I'm so
Oh
jealous
man,
because I live
totally.
30 miles away from the city. Can you imagine? Like I'm
No.
not running, I'm just
Mm-mm.
driving up the turnpike. I've actually tried twice in one night to chase a storm. I've actually gone up to the city, come back home, and gone out again.
Oh no. See, that's dedication, though.
Huh?
That's dedication.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess.
What is your holy grail of lightning photos? Is there a location or a landmark or something that you're like, I have to do it before I die?
The Statue of Liberty. I mean, the lineup with the Statue of Liberty and the Empire State Building to me is the holy grail of lightning shots. And if my friend who just got that shot is on here, I have to say kudos, man. You killed that shot. So the problem with that shot is that the place to get it, there's no shelter. So the other night I was thinking
Uh,
about going there, but I still have not perfected the art of shooting from my car because I really can't. I have an SUV, so I was thinking about emptying out my trunk and then shooting with a long lens through my trunk to the city. I was thinking about doing that. So stay tuned.
well, look, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you because I want to see the shot if you get it. So,
Yes. Yeah. So my trunk is a mess right now. So it's like I have a whole photography store back there. I've got tripods and filters. I've got like 10 jackets. I've got socks, tons of hiking boots. I'm gonna have to empty that sucker out the next time storm season comes around.
I'm gonna have to set you up with. I don't know if you know Lawrence Lederman, who he's a you know comes to a lot of our event spaces. He's actually overlanding out of his Jeep right now, out in the Colorado and Utah. He has like a 20-foot tent that builds out of his Jeep. So Lawrence, if you are watching this, I'm gonna link you up with Jennifer. Take her out in the Jeep one day during a lightning storm. You're gonna have like 20
Man,
feet of rain coverage, and maybe you guys can get some dream shots there.
oh my God, that sounds amazing. I'm super jealous now.
That would be great. Now,
Yeah.
what's something that is there a mistake that you found yourself making a lot, or that you see people who are new to taking these types of images that mistake they're making time and time again?
The biggest mistake I'm seeing was that they're letting the camera be in control when they should be in control. Meaning they are looking at the histogram and they're metering and they're making their camera make all their decisions when they should not be doing that. It's the same with the moon. Take control of your camera, be the boss. Your camera's not the boss, right? Make an executive decision. It's your shot, you're doing it, not the camera's just taking the picture. The camera's kind of dumb. You are smart, you're there. I'm trying to
It's
say
true.
that I've been with people who refuse to stop down and refuse to go on f/22. Put it on f/22, man. Just take the risk. This is what I see. Like, just put it on f/22, get that pinhole aperture, and get the shot. You know, that's the mistake I see people getting, is that they hear time and time again, "Don't shoot at f/22. It's too dark. I need to brighten it up." Well, no, you don't have to do that. You're trying to capture a lightning strike. That, that's the advice I can give people, is that be in control of your camera. Don't let your camera control you.
No, I think that's perfect. I mean, it makes sense. The camera literally, it says, okay, I want to turn the black to gray. It doesn't it doesn't know what what final image you want out of it. It doesn't know, some people like it a little overexposed, some people like it a little underexposed. So
Right.
I think it's great advice. You have to know the rules in order to break them and know when to apply them.
Exactly. I could say don't be afraid to break the rules, especially when you're storm chasing. Control that camera, darken that shot, and you will not be disappointed.
And carry a lot of cloths and towels.
You know that I got a lightning bolt through a rainbow that I didn't show today because the shot got covered with so much rain from me running out of
Oh
cloths. And
no.
I was completely soaked. I couldn't even wipe it with my shirt. It was terrible. And then
Everything
I
was
ran to the
saturated, so
Starbucks.
you're wiping off a wet lens with a wet shirt, and it's not
And
working.
I ran to the Starbucks and I got paper towels, and that's really, really bad because I'm wiping a lens with paper towel, and you know what happens with that.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, we've all
Yeah,
done it.
right, right.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. Super informative, wonderful images. I told you I was taking notes, and some of these questions were mine. So
Oh, great.
definitely an interesting topic. If you do get that Statue of Liberty, you have to let us know.
No, I will. Believe me, I'll tag B&H if I get it.
There we go. We'll be on the lookout for it. We'll keep our fingers crossed for you. But thank you again for joining us, as always, Jennifer, and to the rest of our viewers, thank you for joining us as well. This has been another edition of the B&H Virtual Event Space. We'll catch you all next time.